Ho, ho, ho!
It's Tarquini!
Hello and welcome to the final day. Merry Christmas as well. It is day 12 of the 12 days of British Touring Car. And today, the final car, the one that you've been waiting for, or maybe not, or least expected, was the Austin Mini Cooper 7. Now this ran during the late 50s, early 60s, into I think around 1965-66. And what can we say? This is a car that both myself and Ben absolutely adored when we were looking for cars that we both quite enjoyed and ones that we really liked. So just to give you a few stats based on the 1961 and during the time that it was in the British Touring Cars or British Saloon Car Championship. It ran into the late 70s as well, I should note that. So we had John Whitmore and Josh Love take the title in 1961 and 1962 respectively, along with Alec Poole in 1969 and Richard Longman in 1978 and 1979. It is worth noting that Richard Longman won the titles with the Mini Cooper 1275 GT model. Plus, really looking back at this car, who didn't love the Mini? I mean, it scored 10 wins whilst it were in the Touring Car or Saloon Car Championship. And it was basically David versus Goliath when it came to racing the much bigger cars in the championship, like the Cortinas and the Galaxies and stuff like that over the years. The Mini really became a cult icon after being in the Italian Job, in my opinion. And in all honesty, I think that sealed its place in history, both in motorsports and car enthusiasts in general. What do you think, Ben?
Mr. Bean had one. He drove it from the roof.
Forgot about that one.
One of my uncle's friends had the twin-engine version, which is a very rare edition, which was how they got it to sort of be four-wheel drive, I think, to begin with. There might have been other ways after that. But yeah, it's one of the cars that's amazing in rallying, like Paddy Hopkirk and all that sort of stuff. Amazing at Monte Carlo rally. It's iconic in sort of everything it entered. It was somehow interestingly iconic, and to this day, people still do race them, like the classic mini cups and everything. It's still actually supporting races of all sorts of genres and everything. And yeah, it's brilliant to see. Lovely car. Like you said, who doesn't like the Mini? It's just one of them cars where in and out of touring cars is amazing. It obviously went up against the American cars, as we mentioned early on in day two. So it was one of them cars where it did do the David and Goliath effect, and yeah, just awesome car.
Yeah, I think it's short wheelbase, the size of it. It's become a cult classic over the years. I mean, ever since its introduction in I think like the mid-late 50s, I mean, it's been through like every motorsport going probably at this point. You had it in rallying, you had it in touring cars. It was probably in some bloody snow event somewhere, you know. It was one of them cars that really got about, and it's worth noting as well with the Mini, because of how small it was, obviously it could fit through, well, any gap really. You know, we had like a good example is the Mini Miglia, I think it's called, the little classic Mini Championship. You know, you can fit like 5 wide down the straight at like Thruxton, for example. It's ridiculous. The other thing is, as well, is due to how old the car is, everybody's after one now. It's like 20 years ago, 30 years ago even, people were still buying them for cheap and were racing them and smashing them up. But obviously, because the cars are so rare, obviously you can probably build one from scratch, provided you can find the parts and build one. But really, this is a car now that's been put into like, it's obviously had legendary status and everything, but it's been put into collector's item status now, really, I'd say. Just a few notable mentions though, for cars that we would have picked. That's actually going to wrap up our 12 days of Christmas, but we do have one or two little things to mention for notable mentions as well. So two in particular are the Honda Civic Tourer and the MG MG6 from the 2014 season. Those two we thought looked very spectacular. Like, for example, the MG had a great livery in 2014. It was just kind of a shame how the car looked a bit ugly in real life. And I think it goes without saying as well, like the Honda Civic Tourer, we had Gordon Shedden and Matt Neal drive it, with Shedden winning its first race at Donington Park that season. But I think the main thing, and obviously we've given two notable mentions, but there was plenty more, and this should come without any surprise to anybody. that this was the Super Touring era as a whole, but there was just too many cars to pick from. We could have picked any, like the 12 could have been 12 days of Super Touring cars, really. There was that many good cars, due to liveries, the drivers, the fan size at the time. And really, it still lives on as one of the best eras ever of British touring cars. So it's one of them, like I said, we could have picked 12 of them. Obviously, we chose not to. Wanted to look throughout its history and pick our personal favourites and highlights. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed these 12 days of Christmas, or 12 days of British touring cars, we've called it. And we look forward to seeing you all next year for more British touring car content, whether that be in the form of quizzes, Guess Who, etc. We've got plenty of ideas lined up for next year. And obviously the season itself kicks off in April. Obviously me and Ben will be back then for doing race reviews, and we'll do the season review at the end of the year. So on that note, we're going to wish you guys a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from both myself and from Ben. Look after yourselves, stay safe, and we will see you in 2022. Goodbye.
Bye.